Welcome, everyone, to AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. I am Aubrey Edwards with my best friend, Will Washington. I'm a referee. He works in creative, but once a week we get together and we talk about all of the things happening at AEW with awesome people that work at AEW or have been around AEW. And speaking of awesome things happening at AEW, we're like nearing the end of our Road to All In residency in Arlington, Texas, which has been, in my opinion, absolutely incredible.
I have had a blast. I wasn't sure what to expect the first time I walked into the venue.
Same.
But, I've been at every show there, and I will be at every show. It's such a different environment doing the residency, but it's very cool. One thing I want to give a shout out to is the Arlington, Texas catering, which has been
people love the catering. That's the one thing I keep hearing is like, man, this catering's really good.
There were churros the first day, and like from then on, I've been sold.
Right.
But anyway, it's such a just chill environment. Everybody's having a good time, and I couldn't be happier with how these shows are turning out. We've had some really cool signature moments, and you got to have you had to be the first female referee on a Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Correct.
And that again in itself is just such a cool moment, especially for that pay-per-view. That was
Right?
such a great show, from top to bottom, and the fact that people keep walking away from these shows. I talk to fans after the shows, and they are just over the moon. They've got that energy high, and they just want to come back to the next ones. We've had multiple sold-out shows. I have zero complaints about this experience. It's been so good.
It's been so great, and just seeing all of the fun, like, emotional moments that have happened. Like, having the Von Erichs and Dustin Rhodes win ROH six-man championships, right? Like, we literally have someone from the Rhodes family and people from the Von Erichs family holding gold in wrestling together. And that's just really, really special, especially in Texas.
Yes.
And, like, I haven't been a wrestling fan my whole life, but even I understand how special that is. And like Dustin and I are really close. Like he really helped us kind of come together as a women's locker room during the pandemic. So being a part of that match was super important to me. And it was just being able to like literally hand him his first title since he started working at AEW. Like,
and it fits so naturally. Like just
it
seeing
really
him,
does.
seeing him with the belt. It's like I can't believe he hasn't had a belt in so long in his entire AEW tenure. But at the moment he was holding it, I thought, yes, this is where it belongs.
It's also just been really good to have like this Texas crowd. Like I think the last time we did a residency was AEW Dark in Orlando. And like, yes, Orlando wrestling fans are great, but Texas fans will give most fans a run for their money because they are so into this. Like they want to be there. They're engaged the whole time. They're very energetic. We did the one day of tapings where we did 2 sessions. It was like 6 hours of wrestling and they were still loud as hell by the end of the day. It was insane.
Yeah. I think the moment that I am still just over the moon about was a segment I produced on Collision, in which it was a backstage with a conglomeration. I do most of the conglomeration segments, but in this one, Mark had the idea to bring in Baby J. And that was something that, when planning out the segment, I hadn't accounted for. But once he said it, I was just like, yes, because I could feel... You could feel the energy of those fans when you're backstage. You could feel kind of exactly what they're going to respond to. And I just knew the second that baby was on screen, they were going to erupt. And when it happened, and they did, and it was just such a moment. I have been thinking about that ever since. I probably watched it 100 times ever since.
Same.
I'm so glad we uploaded it to the AEW YouTube because it's a special moment that Baby Jay Briscoe gets to be to make his AEW television debut. And it got to happen there. What a special moment in the city that Jay Briscoe had his last match. That to me is very, very special, and I think is really, really cool. And I can't wait. This has been a great Road to All In series, and we are now heading on the home stretch to
Yes.
to All In. We were
Right.
heading toward London. And speaking of London, we have a special guest today here on AEW Unrestricted. Who have we got here, Aubrey?
Today's guest, I'm very, very excited because he's rather like taken our show by storm every time he shows up. We've got Tommy Billington here, everybody. Welcome to AEW Unrestricted, Tommy.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
We were just catching up before we actually started pressing record, and you're hanging out in Regina in Canada rather than Calgary. When did you make the move?
So it was actually just recently. So I was staying in Calgary. Well, I was actually making trips back and forth to Calgary and England since 2022.
Holy
And
shit.
so I'd be flying back and forth every week because I lived in the UK. And then in about December of 2023, I decided there's no point in doing this flying no more, so I'll just stay in Calgary full time and just make more of a living out here. And then actually, I was looking for somewhere else to maybe move somewhere else. And then when AEW actually contacted, I thought, well, this is a perfect time. So I thought, well, I've always liked the countryside and, you know, peaceful lakes and hills. So I was like, you know what, I'll make the move now whilst I'm able to, you know.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, because
Yes.
I was sitting in the creative meeting when it first came up that you would be working that first episode of Collision you did back in May. And, of course, everybody's eyebrows raised because they hear, wait, Dynamite Kid, Tom Billington, that can't be right. And then they're like, no, Tommy Billington. But then we get your picture and your graphic for everything. And, of course, that didn't stop everybody from going, wait, that can't be right. Because
I thought it was a ghost. Legit.
Yeah, because the resemblance is uncanny. And I'm sure you've actually heard that quite a bit. But, you know, for this to be your introduction to a lot of AEW fans, how was that experience as that came to be?
So actually, I was never going to use the moniker Dynamite Kid. And it was actually up until 2 weeks before AEW that I actually started using it, because I was really funny about using that because I didn't want people to get the wrong impression. I'm just leeching off that sort of name just to boost where I need to be. So I always thought I just want to make a name for myself. And then, so for the longest time, I just went by Tom Billington. And then right before, 2 weeks before AEW debut, I was in Brett's house just having dinner with him or, you know, whatever. And he'd tell me, he's like, Tom, I really think you should use that Dynamite Kid name as long as your name too, because you look so much like him, you talk like him, you even walk like him. It's like I remind him so much of him. He said it scares him a little bit. So I thought, at first I was kind of like, I get where you're coming from, Brett, but I really don't want to. And then it took like weeks to be like, Tom, I urge you to use it because it will do you good. And people won't ever doubt you when you use it too, because they'll see how you work, just like him, and they'll be like, there's no doubt the Dynamite Kid. So after a few weeks, I was like, you know what, I'll give it a test run. And then, like 2 shows of using it, it got really over, and people was like, yeah, no doubt, like you look so much like him. And even that, like I get it every day. Like they'll be like, you look so much like your uncle, it freaks me out. It takes me back to like the 1980s, the Stampede Wrestling and things like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I know, like it's like, so when AEW was like, no doubt, we have AEW Dynamite Collision, it's like, of course, I'll use it. And then ever since, it's been the best decision I ever made, to be honest with you.
It's one of those things when Bret Hart tells you something, like, hey, maybe you should do this. Like, maybe you should listen to him.
Maybe I should listen.
Like, just a suggestion. Yeah. He might know what he's talking about. I also like the casual suggestion of like, I was just having dinner with Bret Hart, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, if Dax Harwood is listening to this, he's so jealous right now.
Yeah, we've surprised Dax with a few times gets, you know, like when we came over for when we was in Calgary, We saw, you know what, Dax, come to Brett's house and have some wine and stuff. And he was over the moon. Like, I've never seen. He was like a kid at a
Oh my
candy
God.
store. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of the best days I've ever had.
Oh my God. So you find out you're debuting at AEW. When did you find out it was Dax that you were wrestling?
Well, I actually found out about the debut and Dax on the same day, which was like 2 days prior.
That was the meeting I was in. So yeah.
It was a Saturday that the show aired, well, live, and then I got the call probably about Thursday, I believe it was, and someone actually messaged me, one of my friends, like, said, who know Dax too, was like, be ready for a phone call today because Dax from FTR is going to give you a call. I was like, stop pulling my leg, like, it's not, no time for ribs. You know, you rib me enough, I rib you enough, just not today. And he was like, no, I'm serious. I was like, all right. I didn't believe him. And then all of a sudden I get this like text message on WhatsApp like, is this Tom? I was like, yeah. And I was like, can you just have a quick phone call with me? I was like, all right, who's this? He was like, oh, it's Dax. I was like, no way. And then he gave me a call. I was like, so we're looking for an opponent for me on Saturday night. I was like, well, I was thinking you would be a great fit with being in Canada and Dynamite and Brett and all that. So I was like, would you want to do it? I was like, do I want to do it? Yeah, I want to do it. And before you know it, like, the graphics going up, I'm debuting, and I guess the rest is sort of history, you know? I just couldn't believe it at the time.
Yeah, I like I said, I remember how quickly it happened because it was literally we had the meeting on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday, and then next thing we know, just everything is rolling very quickly, and you're on the graphic. And again, the internet is just like a little bit mind blown at the idea that we're seeing Dynamite Kid on the show, and it definitely looks like Dynamite Kid, and I feel like when it came to that actual match happening, you definitely lived up to the moniker. I think fans walked away going, "Oh, this is the second coming of the Dynamite Kid. I want to see more." And I think anybody who had any questions about it had those answered. Talk to us a little bit about what it was like being in the ring with Dax and being in that ring in Calgary and feeling the energy of those fans.
Well, obviously, I couldn't have chosen a better first opponent to debut with the history with Dax being pretty much Brett's number one fan, Brett being sort of like my number one mentor all my life. You know, I've known him since I've been around, really, and it's all connected so well, and I couldn't ask for a better just time, opponent, venue, you know, Canada, and I don't know, like, I will admit, yeah, the nerves were kicking in because obviously Dynamite Kid, Tom Billington and stuff like that was like, it's big boots to fill. So I'm glad it was so short notice because I wouldn't have liked a month to sit on it. So I'm glad I got in there like, as soon as possible to show them what I've known all along, you know. And just the audience's energy, like I've never felt energy like it. You know, AEW is just on another level right now. And it was such a blessing to finally get an opportunity to wrestle such a good wrestler, one of the best in the world, if not the best right now, especially best tag team. And to actually learn and get that experience, it's truly one of a kind moment that I'll cherish forever, you know?
It's kind of interesting because I didn't think about it until you said it, that having such short notice is actually kind of beneficial because then you're not like overthinking it, right? Like if you had known this was coming, there's just like, okay, maybe I do this, maybe I do this. I don't know. Is that too much? I don't, but like just being able to go in and be you, even though you are using your uncle's moniker, it proved successful because it was just such an excellent match. I mean, Dax like leaves you in the ring after, you have this great reception from the fans. Eventually you come back and wrestle again, and we'll talk more about that. But my favorite thing is I think you posted a picture of you and Brett studying the match afterwards.
Yes, we did.
Which is so great. What was that like? What was that like having Brett kind of review your match for you, having him being such a big mentor?
So yeah, as soon as the day was over, we text Brett. I was like, so tomorrow can we like come to your house and like watch this straight away? Because I'd like to have some pointers and everything. Because there's always room for learning, no matter what level you're at. So I was like, I want to go around. I just want his opinion, just for curiosity. Whether he says it's the worst thing ever, and that Dynamite Kid was the terrible idea, we should never do it again, or how great it was. And we went round, and he watched it. He just thought it was so fantastic, and he was like, he couldn't have been more prouder, especially me and of Dax. He was actually really proud of Dax too for giving such a good effort, and for the both of us doing such a good job. And like I said, I trust Brett's word above anybody's. So just having him look it over and give me pointers here and there, it was just, I can't ask for anything better, to be honest.
What a mind to get to learn from. And honestly, I want to hear more about what that experience was like. And I think everybody else will want to hear about that right here when AEW Unrestricted continues. We've got more after this. Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted. It's Aubrey and Will. We are with Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington. Tommy, I actually wanted to ask you a little bit about what your wrestling fandom was like coming up, and what you took in as far as, obviously, you have the family connection. But as far as your affection for professional wrestling, what was that like for you coming up?
Yeah, it's pretty funny because I feel like it's always been there no matter what. It's like even before I realised what professional wrestling was, it was always ingrained in my mind anyway. So it's like 3 years old, 4 years old, we'd have like this big giant red crash mat with two makeshift turnbuckles, like that was really tall. And me and my brother, like he was about 2 years old, I was about 4 because 2 years difference, and we just honestly just wrestle all the time, practice all these frog splashes off the top and everything like that, to snap suplexes. So even before I even watched anything on TV, was doing like some crazy stuff, to be honest, for 2 and 4 year olds to be jumping off like fences and stuff like. Even now I'm thinking about like, why did I do that, or why did my parents even allow me to do that? But yeah, it's like it's always been in my life. So my dad would always, being Dynamite's brother, always watched all the 80s stuff because he was growing up in that era. So he'd watch like Saturday Night's Main Event, all the WWF house shows, or whatever it be, pay-per-view, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, what was popular at the time. And so he'd watch Stampede Wrestling. So whilst he's watching all that, I'm sat in the corner probably taking it all in. And I'm just, at the time I was actually studying moves to like what to use on the outside in the crash mat. So I was like, I'm going to do that to my brother later. Some like spine buster or something, whatever it was.
Oh,
I was
boy.
like, so I'd always just sort of take it in no matter what. Like I always had an open mind to learning it and that sort of thing. So growing up, I had no doubt in my mind I was always a wrestler. Like there was no job ever that was going to take that away from me. Like I was never going to be anything like a normal job or whatever. I was never crossed my mind once.
Makes total sense. I mean, when you grow up around it and you're watching it from the age of 2, giving your brother spine busters and stuff in a living room, and no one's stopping you, it's like, well, clearly this is the direction that you've set for yourself.
Yeah.
So when did you start training, and how did that whole process work?
So at first, I got to about 9, 10 years old, and I was like, I was telling my dad and things like that, like, can I be a professional wrestler? Can I go train in a ring and with an actual coach and stuff? And we actually tried to reach out to Marty Jones at the time, an old school world sport wrestler, and he said, you're too young right now, so come back when you're 16, and that's more appropriate.
Good. It's a very responsible adult thing to do.
Which I'm thankful
Which
for,
we
really.
don't hear that often, so no, that's
Correct.
actually great.
Good on him.
And then, so in the meantime, I said the closest thing to do was become an amateur wrestler. So Olympic style wrestling. So from 10 till about 15, I did the actual grappling wrestling and catch as catch can, and just won a few. Like got some medals going in there and learning that. And then I was in school.
Medals.
Just got some medals, no big deal.
But, So it was all the way through school. I'd be like, people would ask me like, what am I doing when I leave? So this is about 15, 16. I was like, well, I'm actually going to go and become a professional wrestler. And at the time, I can see where they was coming from when they was laughing at me and be like, come on, Tom, like, what are the actual chances of you becoming a wrestler? Like,
Pretty high.
it was like, have a plan B at least, and just get a proper job and just be normal or whatever. And then I was like, no, I'm not doing that. It's like, I don't want to listen to you. Like, you're my friends and everything, but I'm not listening to that. Like, I know what path I'm meant to be on. So the last week of school, I was done with school. Like, I hated it. So I'd even set my exams, like the final exams. I just left and started wrestling school. So, but the 2 weeks before wrestling school, I was going to my dad every day, being like, so it's going to the end of my school year. I'm leaving school for good now. Can I go do that wrestling? He's like, yeah, I'll take you next week. And then next week comes, we didn't go. So the week comes after, I'm like, can we go? He's like, yeah, I'll take you next week. And I come back to him, we don't go that week either. I come back the third week, I'm like, Dad, can we go to wrestling school? I'm serious about this. And he's like, are you really wanting to be a wrestler? I was like, yeah, I want it more than anything. And he was like, all right, I'll take you then. This Saturday, I'll take you. So what he had in his mind, that he didn't want me to end up the same way as like Dynamite did and stuff, because he knew like how the business is and it's pretty hard on people. So he didn't want that for me at the time. And then he's like, I'll take you then. And he ended up taking me a Saturday. And that's when we did meet Marty Jones, and he did teach me. And the first time I went, he was just teaching me the basics, the rolls, the bumps and stuff like that, and what you do in wrestling school. And apparently I was doing it so good that Marty Jones turned around to my dad and was like, there's no way it's his first time in a wrestling ring. My dad was like, I'm telling you, it is. It's like,
wow.
He's only just left school. So after my dad saw that, he was like, he's got it. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like, he's got like the gene that's not so easy to come by. Because my dad did try professional wrestling for a bit, and it just wasn't for him. Because he was training with Dynamite, and Dynamite was pretty tough in those days. Like, towards the end of his career, like, he just dropped, like, back suplex my dad on his head and things like that. Just whatever. That was my dad's training, so my dad was kind of like, yeah, not for me. So he kind of thought that's what they do to me. Like, I go in with the wrong attitude, being like, oh, this is going to be easy, and then get dropped on my head and then be like, cry about it or whatever. But when he seen how well I was doing, he was like, yeah, I'll let you do this now. And then from there on, it's just history, really. Just training every week. And
how long was it after that you eventually got to have your first match?
So I started in June 10th, 2017, and my first match was December 23rd, 2017. So about 6-7 months, something like that. So not too long at all, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's pretty quick. You literally started training like a month before I did. That's crazy.
Really?
Oh, yeah. July 2017. That's wild. What a great summer for both of us. Jeez.
Absolutely.
So you'd said your brother's like 2 years older than you, right? Or 2 years younger?
2 years younger.
2 years younger. So when did he start training with you?
So he came the first day with me, but he was just spectating it because he was actually going to get signed by a soccer team at the time, Manchester City or something like that, like a full-time contract.
Damn.
So he had his, I know. So I had his, he had his mindset on that. So he came watching me, and then he was like, "Wow, this looks really difficult, but it looks really good." And then I went the week after on my own, or with my dad just traveling. We did another session, and my brother saw like the Facebook Live training session. He was like, I really want to give this a go. And then he was like, well, you come down next week, and I'd like to have a training buddy of sorts, someone I bond with. And then so he came with me, and he was just as much of a natural to it. Like, he could do everything. So he could do the flips and everything day one.
Oh my god.
So he was like, I was like, well, no brainer, do that. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, it's so much fun. he can like show off his athletic ability and things like that, and he loved it as much as me. So it was about 2 weeks after that, after my initial session.
Well, so the two of you, of course, got to wrestle as a tag team. And, of course, tag team wrestling having its own kind of unique experience. What was it like kind of building the dynamic between you two and I guess, for lack of a better term, being the dynamic duo, but building that dynamic between the two of you. So what was that like, and how do you feel that dynamic grew over time over those last few years?
Oh yeah, well, me and Mark have always been close, and when the wrestling came, I was like, well, I'd like a tag team partner, and then we thought, well, if you start, then maybe we can be a tag team, and because I initially just planned to be a solo all the time because he had different plans, and then when he came into the picture, it made me rethink. I was like, you know what, he's so good at it, and he's just so young too, and so into it like me that, well, we should do a tag team, because if we can combine our stuff together, I think we do pretty well. And then, before you know, it was like, from there on, like, first show, we tag teamed and was like, well, yeah, we'll do this from now on. Like, we're forever a tag team. Like, and it made us, like, really close too. Like, we was close before, but traveling the road together and doing shows together as well, it made us, like, unbreakable, And, for the longest time, we just tag teaming, like even just up until recently, before this AEW debut came up, we was non-stop tag teaming and things like that, and we just unbreakable.
That's one of the best parts about being on the indies, I think, is just the traveling with other people and the relationships you build when you're so much closer with everyone and you're trapped in this car for a long amount of time, and you're just talking about like, okay, well, what are we going to do in our match tonight? What are we going to do this? Or talking about everything that you've seen on TV. It's one of the great things about wrestling that I don't think other forms of performance really get to experience. And it's just really great that it's also something that you got to share with your brother. That's so awesome. Oh man, there's so much more to talk about with Tommy here on AEW Unrestricted. Coming up, stay tuned. AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will talking to the new Dynamite Kid, the current Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington. You've seen him on Dynamite, you've seen him on Collision. He's just this rising star in Canada, and we're so happy that he's had a chance to speak with us today a little bit, get to learn a little bit more about him. In the first segment, we actually talked about your match with Dax a little bit, and I want to talk about your match with Takeshita a couple months later on Collision. How was that match in comparison to your match with Dax? Because they're both two incredible competitors, but obviously very different wrestlers.
Yeah, I've actually always wanted to wrestle Takeshita, because I'm really big in Japanese style, and obviously being rooted with Dynamite. I think he was the best second opponent I could have asked for too. And it's like, of course, hard hitting, very tough. I've got to show a lot of heart in there. And I feel like I did that. Just I always have to keep my shoulder turned and keep an eye on Don, because he's always up to something.
That damn Don.
But yeah, so the match itself, it featured a pile driver contest, which was just insane. And it had the crowd on the edge of their seat. Everybody was into this. But again, it was just one of those crazy visuals, and again, just standing toe to toe with Takeshita. Again, that experience. Knowing that you're getting in with Dax was one thing. I think that Dax being a big supporter of, a big fan of Bret the Hitman Hart and your family's legacy and things of that nature. But then you have somebody like Takeshita, who is just so big in stature, and again, he's almost so many different styles in one guy when you look at what Takeshita brings to the table. And so, again, when did you find out that match was happening? And how did, putting that together, what was that experience like?
So I must have found out about 4 days beforehand, something like that.
Ooh.
If I was guessing, it's pretty late notice again.
Much more time
more time, twice as much.
Yeah, twice the time.
Twice as much. But I was actually really excited about it because it's like now I've got my foot in AEW that it's no more nerves, no nothing. I was ready, and yeah, Takeshi, I respect him so much, and especially over the last like couple of years, he's gone from you've never heard the guy to superstar in my eyes, and yeah, it's like, and I've always wanted to wrestle this Japanese style, and you know, nothing but pure heart and soul in matches, and yes, meeting him was extraordinary, and yeah, it's such a good guy. Just that he gets a little just twisted sometimes by bad influences, let's say. So
Yeah, I agree. He was a really good guy until that Don dude came along.
Yeah, less we talk about him, the better. But
yeah, right.
Regarding Takeshita, one of the best in the world. Can't even ask for a better opponent. Just so much to learn from him, and I'm just glad that I was able to go in there and give everything I could and show him that, you know, I'm not just a name, that I am pure heart and soul too.
So that first show, the match against Dax was in Vancouver, if I remember correctly. And, you know, of course, that Vancouver crowd, incredible crowd.
Insane.
Yeah, I think, honestly, one of our more underrated crowds of the year. But I think one of the joys of Calgary is, of course, you know, getting to be there during Stampede and getting to be a part of that entire experience. I mean, I've gotten to go now to Calgary twice, and it's been just a pleasure every time. I think about it a lot, and getting to walk around in all the cowboy hats and whatnot, it's amazing. But again, just the difference between those two Canadian crowds and essentially getting to come to wrestle Takeshita in that environment in Calgary, and getting to feel that energy, and it felt like they were all into you. It felt like, and that is almost an advantage that a lot of people don't get to have. That when you walk into in front of a large crowd for the first time, you don't necessarily have the guarantee that they're going to respond well to you. But in your case, you got to have the advantage of all of these people chanting your name and wanting to see you do it, and that is something that I think all of us backstage were just taken aback by. Like, this is magic in a bottle here. This is happening right before our eyes. Did you think the fans were going to respond that way for either match?
To be honest, no. The first time I was expecting absolutely nothing because I'd never been on TV before. So I knew going into the first match it'd be sort of an uphill battle, because obviously no one knows me. So I walked through the entrance stage when my entrance was playing, and of course, you could hear a pin drop in there. And but by the end of it, I feel I won the respect of everybody in there. And so coming into this second match, I had a feeling that I get a little bit of respect with being in Calgary, being, you know, a local guy. You know, everyone knows me in Calgary because I've been around so long. So I was like, I was only expecting just maybe two people chanting my name, and and it turns out, yeah, a lot of people actually just give me the support that I needed and looked out for me, and I didn't expect it at all, and I'm really grateful for it. So to all the fans out there that keep supporting. So yeah, I didn't expect it at all.
One of my favorite moments of that match with Takeshita was what happened after, where, you know, Don tries to get you. As much as we said we don't want to talk about Don anymore, he kind of finds his way into the conversation. Don tries to get you to join, you know, is the Don Callis family, and you have this iconic line of just telling him to kiss your ass. So it's funny because, like, microphone time on a wrestling show is so precious. When did you find out that you were going to have to speak on a microphone?
I'd say probably an hour before the match. Like, actually, it
sounds about right.
They're pretty good at telling me last minute, like, yeah, just throw Tom in. He's pretty good if you just throw him in last minute. So I do appreciate that, because I don't.
It's worked out well for you.
Yeah, I don't like thinking too much, so I just put me on the spot. I probably can do pretty good on the spot, but yeah, pretty quick beforehand. I didn't even tell me what it was going to be either. Like it was just like, yeah, it's going to be on the microphone, then we'll figure it all out later, like that sort of thing.
Wow.
Well, I want to talk a bit about some of your other wrestling experience in Calgary, for example. So I want to talk about Dungeon Wrestling, and how you guys were a part of the first ever Dungeon Wrestling show. And you wrestled a time limit draw against the Bollywood Boys. So again, just kind of talking about the entire experience with Dungeon Wrestling, and how was that, and how's that been?
So actually, me and Mac first came over in August of 2022, we was only intending to stay about 2 weeks to get just some shows done, and then on as we're about to go home, like a few days beforehand, Brett's like contacts us like, so we've got this show coming at the end of October, so we have to stay for like a few extra months. We said we'd really like you to do it. It's like, if you can't, I understand, but since you've already got your flight home and things like that, and but we'd really like you because of the name, the legacy, and plus the venue, which is the Victoria Pavilion, which is obviously where Stampede Wrestling every week in Canada. So we was really thinking about. Well, I definitely was up for doing it. Mark was really homesick, so we was like butting heads. Like, we need to stay, and he's like, no, I'm not staying. And I was like, and we've had like a little back and forth for a week until I was like, right, I convinced him, and then he was like, right, I'll stay till October, and then so we had to stay for the extra like 3-4 months, whatever it was. And then we basically just got all these bookings everywhere else. But when Dungeon came around in October, it was like I didn't know really what to expect, because it was the first time Dungeon was going in such a big venue. It holds like 2,300 people or something.
Damn.
Like, there's no way they're gonna fill that, especially a brand new independent company like this. And then before you know it, like, Brett was there supporting. Like, even Brett was there to look over all the matches. He pretty much booked all the matches, got all the wrestlers in. So Brett and his son Dallas just put all this production together, got proper cameras, got pay-per-view going, got all these fantastic wrestlers, and before you know it, they completely filled the venue. 2,300 people in there. Just they had to turn people away. It was unbelievable, and
wow,
that was another thing. Like, Bollywoods was such a great first tag team to show off our skills to, because Bollywoods are there to prove a point too, and we wanted to make our names noticed. So we just got to have such a great match, I believe, and it's unbelievable atmosphere. It felt like going back in time. Like, it felt like I was living in the 80s right then, and like just kids screaming everywhere, and such a great family show. And ever since, it's just been on fire. Just every month or two they'll run a show and do fantastic stuff. So I'm grateful to be a part of it.
That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about your father, just because you'd said that he brings you your wrestling training the first time, and he wasn't a wrestler himself, but was a great lover of professional wrestling, and obviously a huge supporter of you. Fortunately, he passed away January of last year. What do you think he would say about your work so far in AEW?
I know he'd actually be unbelievably proud, because he was just that kind of guy. No matter what show, if I was at a show with 20 people in there, he'd be just unbelievably proud. He just couldn't believe it. Like, he's just so happy for his sons, me and Mark, doing such a great job, and just respecting professional wrestling, and just giving it everything we've got, no matter what, like, no days off. And I just know right now he'd be so so proud, and he'd probably have a few tears in his eyes if I was a guessing man, because he'd be like, finally, like, the time has come. What he's been fighting along with us so long, because he supported us through it all too. Like, when we first started, we didn't, obviously, indie shows, we don't have cameras and stuff like that. We get privileged so much with AEW, so he literally drive with us in the in the car to the venue, and he'd literally pull his phone up like that and record it. And we made our own YouTube channel and started posting every single match we've ever done on there. So he's pretty good, and he was pretty good at making graphics too. So he'd do things like that for us, and he made sure we was on the right path. So I think if he was here now and could see that it's all paid off, he wouldn't believe it. He'd be so over the moon.
Yeah, I feel like just watching you now, I think he'd be incredibly proud because we're all incredibly proud of you.
Yes.
And the thing is,
Thank you.
we're still in the beginning stages. There's still
Right.
so much more to come
Absolutely.
for Tommy Billington. And this story still has a lot more to go. And we hope to catch up with you when that time comes. But Tommy, thanks for being here on AEW Unrestricted. You all can catch new episodes of AEW Unrestricted every Thursday on your favorite podcast platforms. We've got audio episodes available Thursdays. We've got video episodes available on our YouTube channel every Monday. AEW Dynamite airs every Wednesday on TBS. We've got AEW Rampage every Friday on TNT. AEW Collision every Saturday on TNT. And, of course, Ring of Honor available on Honor Club. Watch ROH.com every Thursday. Tommy, thanks for being here on AEW Unrestricted. I'm Will Washington. She's Aubrey Edwards. See you next time. Peace.
Bye, everybody.